All right, y'all. There we go. Whew. Well, y'all, I'm sorry. One of the one of the one of the worst things about me is that when
Sorry,
I'm working on
coach.
something, I really can't stop until it's done. It's it's one of my worst qualities, but it's probably a good thing too. Um, and It's actually called your Achilles heel. The thing that is your advantage is also your disadvantage. Like whenever I'm trying to figure something out, I really can't stop until it's figured out. Like other
Yeah.
people can just quit and come back to it later. I can't do that. I have to figure it out.
I'm in, coach.
Yeah, yeah. So all
Okay.
right.
Testing.
So
Oh, there it is.
Nainwa is here. And,
Man.
you can hear us?
I can hear you guys. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We got it. So y'all, I don't know what was going on with my nose and my head, but my nose is not running anymore, which is good. Well, it's not stopped up anymore. Um, and but every time I cough, my head hurts like it throbs. And so yesterday I wasn't feeling really good at all. And I asked Nainwa if he would come and just share with you what he did. Now he'll tell you, the class he took of mine and what his journey was like. But what I want you all to do as we look at this year as a whole, do not do not wait until grant cycles come in order to prepare for them. Like think right now about everything that you need funded this year and construct a plan. Like some people are in my Power Pages program, and for those people, we're doing all their grants for the year. But the thing that I'm doing, you can actually do it yourself, where you look at the whole year ahead of time and you think about all of the different grants that will come out throughout the year, and you can plan for those right now, so that whenever the grant is announced, you're already steps ahead of everybody else. That includes requesting copies of grants from your city, your county, your state, or the federal if you want to do federal grants. It also includes marking on your calendar when the bank grants come out, when the foundation grants come out. Even though there are grants available all year round, grant season is coming up, and it's going to be a very, very busy time of year. Um, it's just a really busy time. And if any of you are writing grants for other people, um, now is the time for you to kind of get a head start on it. So Nainwa took one of my classes. Well, he took a few different classes over the course of the time we've been together. And then he mastered different aspects of it and used it to secure millions. So before we kind of jump in with him, wanted to hear any progress that you all have had or any problems that you've had. And then we'll turn it to Nainwa. And I want y'all to give him, after I answer your questions about problems and everything like that, then I want you to listen to what he has to say and make sure you have lots of questions on what he did and why he did it. It's one thing to hear from the teacher. It's another thing to hear from a student. Does that make sense? All right, y'all. Any progress, any problems? All right. Everybody good? All right. So 9Y, you can take it from here.
Thanks, coach. Um, so one, thank you for the opportunity to come and share my story and hopefully some of my experiences, my obstacles and my successes with you guys. So I think to date, and we'll start from the time that I've been with Coach, which is probably like in the beginning, 2021, 2020, 2021. I have secured 1.2, 1.2, 1.9, probably about 7 million in grants total for other orgs. And a big boost was from the Maui wildfires in Lahaina, where you have my testimony where I received 1.9 million writing for 12 different nonprofit organizations. Um, I am from Hawaii. I've been in the nonprofit world for quite a while, actually. In 2014 is when I first started my first nonprofit. And but I just did it like a regular business. I didn't know how to write grants, so I just found contracts and people contracted me to deliver my programs and stuff. And I wrote for like 5 grants and 0 for 5. Coach came in and you know, I started on my on this journey, and so I attribute a lot of my success to Coach. I did get my out of the I wrote 6 0 for 5, all these small ones, these 20,000, 10,000, 25,000, and then I got the administration for Native Americans, um, which was a Department of Health and Human Services grant, and that was 1.2 million, 400,000 a year for 3 years. So that basically launched, and through Coach's programs from grant stacking, I was able to, from that 1.2, stack on another 400,000. So basically 800,000 of foundation grants on top of that federal grants. Um, so my journey has been a lot of just hit the ceiling, figure something out, find coaches and mentors. Um, and one of my favorite strategies that I use is the 1-3-5. When coach articulated um the 1-3-5, which is you have one program, one purpose, whatever your mission for your nonprofit is. Why do you exist? What are you trying to do? Like, why are you here? Right? And so what is the purpose of your nonprofit? Is it to solve homelessness? Is it to improve the environment? Is it to increase the income levels of your community? Or is what are you trying to do? And then the 3 is 3 programs in order to be able to solve that purpose. And when you first start getting used to it, you're like, why do I need 3 programs? Usually because, you know, the funder, there's so many different funders, and in order to be able to access all of those different foundations, you know, some are focused on youth, some are focused on the family, some are focused on low income. And so all of these different programs, which still have the same purpose, will allow you to be able to access those grants without disrupting your organization. So if you have 3 programs that your staff is focused on, I remember one of the biggest obstacles that I had was, oh, here's a grant, let me go write for this grant. And then you have to create a whole new program. Oh, here's another grant. There's some money there. Let me go write for this grant. And now my staff gotta learn 2 different things. So rather than having your staff try to learn, and rather than you trying to implement so many different things, and then you just get so stretched, and you start dropping the ball, it's better to just find the grants that match these 3 programs, right? So one, one purpose, 3 programs, and 5 partners. That's probably the biggest thing, because for me is I've been trying to bust down silos, walls. In the Native Hawaiian community in Hawaii, we only have so many grants, and it's everybody applying for the same grant, right? Once I started partnering with other organizations, we started to go and find foundations that nobody was competing in, right? So we started going to the continent where you guys are, and letting them know, hey, I got a partner in we got a partner in Arizona and Hawaii. And so we're covering multiple regions inside of our community. When we're going to different funders, instead of us having to compete with everybody else, we just partnered up with 3 to 5 of us, and we had a higher shot of winning, because the funders like, well, I can fund each individual, or I can fund all 5 of these, all 5 of these with one application. So bringing that back is, that's the 1-3-5, right? One purpose, 3 programs, and 5 partners. I I guess at the same time in the chat, um, I kind of just wanted to know if you guys have any questions that you guys are kind of looking towards. And my goal is to hopefully be able to help you guys overcome any obstacles, like what Coach said. Um, Tani, you're brand new to writing grants for yourself and for others. So to kind of get a feel for the room, for those who are here, put a one if you're just writing for grants just for your own nonprofit, and put a two if you're actually starting to write for grants for other people. Let me just get a feel. But so Tony, in you're brand new. What 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 is the thing that is overwhelming you the most?
I think, hello everybody. I think what's overwhelming me the most is, like you said, like finding them, like, oh, here's some money over here. Let me, write something for this. Let me do this. So I'm just really stretched thin and trying to keep the clients focused on not just going for like a big supermarket sweep and to grab money. Just trying to make them focus.
Uh, Here's one more thing that I've learned when it comes to working with clients is setting the right expectations, right? So when I'm setting up a new nonprofit or when I'm helping a new nonprofit, they don't exist in the realm of whatever, right? So a lot of these people's like, oh, I want $100,000 grant. Um, but I tell them is you have to build your grant portfolio like you build credit. Right now, because you don't exist, you have zero credit. And so you need to start either inserting yourselves or finding or piggybacking off of somebody, find an authorized, credit card so somebody just picks you up, right? Find a reputable org that can pick you up and that can help you, and they can go after the big grant and then they can write you into it. One. Two, the other thing that I've realized is um there are some I say no a lot now, meaning they want to go after this particular grant, but I tell them eh, the grant is outside of your mission. Like say for example, I'm focused on the environment and they're like, "Ooh, there's a business grant because I have a business. I want to go for this business grant." When you read the RFPs, sometimes RFPs like this is it. This is your lane. And so you have to actually bring the client into understanding that unless they know what they're trying to do, they will never it will be much harder to find the grants that fit them. So when I'm working with clients, I'm like, really, what is the impact? Kind of like what coach used he did the what, why, and how, right? I'm not sure if anybody's followed that part. The what, why, and how is what what impact are you trying to make, right? And then it's what is your program design? How are you going to make that implant? Are you going to, get 100 volunteers, and are you going to serve food to support the homeless? Are you going to find other people that will help them with document services, right? And then the 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 last part is what are you measuring, right? Like how are you going to make that impact? We're going to serve 1,000 plate, we're going to have 1,000 pounds of food that we serve. We're going to do all of this impact, and you're measuring it, right? So sorry if I ramble. I hope that I don't lose too many people in my rambling. But Tony, is that how I said it,
Yes.
Tony?
Yes,
All right.
Tony.
All right, Tony. So if you're working with somebody and they're trying to chase grants, it's better to just let's focus on what you need, right? How much money you need in order to deliver what you need, and then you can find the right grants. And are you using different methods that coaches showed us to find grants?
This is my first time. Like I'm brand new
Oh,
into his
oh,
program. This is my first Zoom, everything. So
okay, okay. All right. Welcome, Tony. Okay, so
thank you.
hopefully within the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, we'll move you along that line.
Okay, thank
And
you.
yeah, okay. All right. So okay. Tawana said I see so many go in so many different directions, just try to get money. Okay. Is there anybody else that has a question? Because if not, then I mean some of the things that I can go 1,000 different ways, coach.
All right. So if y'all have any other questions, I'm gonna let him continue. All right.
I have
Oh,
a question.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Phyllis.
Okay, so sometimes I've been involved with other people who wrote grants,
Uh-huh.
and I'm in the, I'm a participant. And then I really read the grant and what they're asking me to do in some cases. Other folks, it's not what they said in the grant.
Okay. Okay.
And
So they're your fiscal sponsor. Like they're
yeah,
like, I'm gonna write the grant and then I'm gonna contract you.
yes,
Is that basically what they're saying?
yes,
And then basically they're like, okay, well, you know what? I know what I need to win the grant, so I'm just gonna write it this way, and they expect you to meet that deliverable.
yes,
So the number one thing before that is, I mean, they'll write the grant, but normally before they engage your services, you'll have a memorandum of agreement or a memorandum of understanding. And in that part of that memorandum of agreement, the scope of services, you get to articulate, this is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm capable of doing. So what that does is that takes the risk and the liability off of you, because in writing, you stated, you might want me to do this. You might be thinking that for the amount of money that you give me, I can do 1,000 things. But in reality, if you want me to achieve, let's just say, whatever they're asking you, I'm going to need either a higher budget, or I need you to stay inside the box that I'm giving you. I don't know if you've had that opportunity, Phyllis, to be able to, when you engage with another nonprofit, to say, hang on, you're asking me, oh, sorry, I'll pause right there. Did, did that part
yeah.
help you?
No, it did. I mean, because it's, I mean, I'm actually going through something now because I was a player in it,
Mhm,
but I personally didn't have, I was paid to participate in the grant.
mhm,
So I didn't really get to see what they wrote until after I was hired.
mhm.
And then when I looked at what they wrote and then what they were asking me to do, they're very different things.
Okay. Uh, and how different is it? Is it like night and day different, or is it the same thing that you told them to do, but now they're adding, like, instead of 10, they want you to do 50, that
No,
kind of thing?
it's like night and day different. It's I mean, like there's only one aspect that is, similar, but the rest is something very different than what the grant is actually very specific. It
Uh-huh.
said we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and so there's like 5 things the grant said we're going to do, and then what I'm asked to do is maybe one of the things they said, but
Uh-huh.
it's some of, several other things that's not what they said.
Okay. So if everybody can indulge me, so I have a thought. Here's a thought, Phyllis. There's a couple of things that if I was in that situation where you contracted me and I was expected to do something, here's kind of what I would do. I would ask them for the write-up, right? Just show me what you wrote up for the grant.
Yes.
Phyllis, do you have a nonprofit as well?
Well,
You-
I know, I do, in
Okay, okay,
answer,
you're
I
setting one
don't.
up. Okay,
Right,
you're setting one
I'm
up.
fiscally sponsored by another entity, so
Got it.
you understand.
Yeah, totally understand. So there's, I guess there's two things that I would do. One, if you got a friend with a nonprofit, I take that writing and say, well, I'm already doing this program. I'm doing one aspect of it. I'll go find another grant to help me with the other aspects through that nonprofit. So
Okay,
that way there's other funding sources besides the one, right? Because I want to protect myself and I want to protect my credibility, and I want to make sure that even though that group may have pulled some shady tactics, I'm not sure, but may have pulled some shady tactics, I'm protecting myself because I have another funding source to make sure that I deliver, right? And I'll take the same write-up, the same project, the same program type of thing, but I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to do these other parts with a different grant. So that's one suggestion. You know, another part is to go back to them and articulate why what they wrote and what you're able to deliver is not going to line up. So that way it gives them another opportunity to either give you a new scope of service or to figure out some win-win situation, because they're really on the line, right? They're the ones that wrote the grant. They're
Yes.
the ones at
There's
risk. Go ahead,
there's
coach.
another dynamic at work right there. And it's either one of two things. Either they are making a change, and it's very possible to change the scope of your grant. You can do that with the funding source. Maybe you've gone a few months and you're like, oh, but we don't want to do that. We really want to do this. It's possible for them to have made a change in a very appropriate way. Or, as Nainwan said, they're doing something pretty shady. And for the sake of your name and integrity, you want to have that meeting of the minds. Just go and sit down and say, hey, it looks like you wrote this and it looks like I'm doing this. Can you help me see why these are so different?
Oh,
That shouldn't be a problematic thing.
Yep.
that's great. Thank you.
Yep. Granny, you have your hand up?
Yes, my issue that I'm running into is working with other nonprofits, and because as you speak on your nonprofit, then you find out that organizations you think would have all of their ish together, that they would, already know a lot of this, but they don't. And so, like one organization I'm working with now, I'm finding that it's a lot of stuff they don't have done that, you'll say, oh, you have a nonprofit, and they'll say, yeah, I got one already. And then you start to find out that it's a whole lot of stuff that you have to do. I mean, from even setting up a website, like they don't even have a website. They don't have this, they don't have that. And then it just grows into something really gigantic that you end up doing. And then you don't have time for your own nonprofit. So I'm trying to figure out how to, really, like you said, memorandum of agreement, but I don't know. It's like they don't have everything. They're missing so many parts, and every little part takes maybe an hour or 2 hours. It's a lot when you start really digging in, trying to help them with their grants. They don't have things in place that they think they have.
Well,
so how do you deal with this as far as writing?
For the first part, and this isn't just because I'm on coach's call, is coach. Coach, you still have that program where if people needs help setting up their nonprofits, you can do a 50-50 split. What is it, 1,500 or 2,000? Yeah. I think I've been charging 2,000, but 1,500.
I charge 1,500. You charge 2,000. Keep charging.
Cost of living in Hawaii is a little bit more expensive. So that's the first thing, Granny Cheese, is one. Do you have a check? Do you have like a checklist of, like a picture of a checklist where people can be like, oh, these are all the things that you're going to need if you're going to be a grant ready nonprofit? You have that?
Oh yeah. From being in coach's program. Yes, sir.
So when you talk to people, you let them know, like, you're going to need all of this. And like, do you bucket those pieces as far as, if you need the state registration, registration with the charities division, and you need, your 1023, all of those registrations are going to cost a certain amount. And then,
no.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what I tend to do is I tend to say, so with our state registration, it's $26 to set up the state, but you're also going to need an extra addendum or amendment to your articles of incorporation for the state of Hawaii, because it's a little fresh. So it's going you let them know that there's a little extra work that you need, but the filing fee is $26. You let them know that the 1023 is going to, the normal form is 12. It's going to take $600, but then the easy form is going to take $275, and that's that filing fee. But then you also let them know that you also got to get the charities registration, this, and then you let them know this is a work. For me, I tell them it takes about 2 months before you, from the day you decide to start a nonprofit to the day you finish all of those registrations, and then inside of those 2 months, it's going to take however many hours that you calculated. So if it's 20 hours, if it's 30 hours in that 2 months, if it's 7 to 10 hours, but I let them know this is what it's going to cost. And if you want it done in this time frame, it's going to cost all this. And that's important because once you let them know up front, this is the cost, then they'll start filtering themselves out.
Okay.
Right? The people with money are gonna work, and the people without money are gonna just move on. But at the same time, you could probably do two things. You can build your experience by working with the people with no money, and you'll be like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna need a little bit up front just for my time, and you can get that experience. Two, if you need to save time so you can work on your nonprofit, just pass them along to coach and do that deal where it's a 50-50 profit split.
Mm-hmm.
And then how you said you're working on finding time with your nonprofit.
Yeah.
What is the thing that's taking up the most amount of your time?
Working for helping other people. Yeah, just helping other people. Like they end up saying, okay, yeah, I want to do. I guess I spent probably a lot more hours than I expected to because of my not unexperienced. The last person I charged, and then I really didn't even intend to be doing no website setup, but I was like, okay, this lady had no website. She didn't have, her domain. She didn't have any of that. And I got caught up, right? So that kind of stuff, I'm getting caught up, and I'm like, okay.
Coach, do you have a website setup service too?
I
I don't really
do,
even deal with
I know.
websites.
but so the way to use the checklist, you can use that to evaluate them.
Okay.
Say, all right, before I step in, you need to do these things. And if you don't have these things, then you can pay me to do them. Um, there are lots of ways to approach it, but you have to protect your priorities. And so you can say to yourself at the beginning of the year, I'm going to help 3 people for free. But the other people I need to charge. You get what I'm saying? So you have some free slots. That's your way of giving back. And once you get to those 3, that's it. Because you have to keep your lights on. You get what I'm saying?
Right. And that's why I didn't mind taking on the lady, doing her stuff, but because to make some money. But also I got caught up with the time more than I thought I would. So
do you actually set up websites? Is that your thing?
It wasn't. It became my. I did it for myself. Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay.
And that's another
I got
thing.
caught up.
What I have taught regarding grants and what I teach regarding grants, it's a whole spectrum. Even though I say grants, it's actually everything about the nonprofit, the registration, the setup, the websites, the permissions, the approvals, sponsorships, grants, in kind, all of it. I just say grants.
Yeah.
It's a short word and it's attractive to people.
Yeah.
But the stuff that you all have, any of you could take any one class, and if that becomes your specialty, you can go and charge the rest of the world for it. So if you wanted to, Granny T, you could, if you were interested and people wanted you to set up their nonprofit website, you could just specialize in that.
Yeah, and it's not hard. It's just time consuming. I mean, they have plenty of, tools, but and you're right. You taught us all of this. So it's like, okay, I could do this, but okay.
As long as you let them know, oh yeah, setting up a website, or if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna take me 40 hours and I charge, 50 to 100, $150 an hour, it's gonna charge them that much. Then they're gonna get real quick to recognizing whether or not they want to engage your service or not up front. And sometimes we do it because we need the funds, or sometimes we want to help. But at the same time, you're right? We have to be very intentful with what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? I mean, there's one more thing that I did want to share. Coach, like I know we were talking about AI stuff, right? And so a couple things for caution, right? ChatGPT is great, but at the same time, you can tell when it's written by ChatGPT. But for me, we wrote a $1.2 million A&A grant, and we got it fully automated with AI. I found that I used ChatGPT and Bard at the same time. So I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with Google Bard, But I use Google Bard for a lot of my web stuff, and for web citations and things of that nature. And then, for citation and sources, make sure that if you're going to use Bard for any of your citations, ask for sources. You can ask for, I want to say it's ADA style, which is one way of citing the source. And then you can also use click text. Yes, it's Google Bard. Yeah, so that's and you cannot use it with you have to use it with the personal email. And I just put that in chat. Go ahead, Coach. Sorry if I'm jumping all over the
Oh,
place.
no,
But
you're fine. So there's some grants actually in your grant writing. Google Bard is good because it gives you the citation. And it just helps you expedite the process. All grants don't require it, and all grants don't have space for citations. But when you get to larger dollar amounts, in particular the 1.2 million that he talked about, they're going to ask you for certain. They're going to expect certain things, and citations are that. And sometimes, y'all, the people that are doing the work are not always the best researchers. You get what I'm saying? And that's fine. It's actually part of the problem, because in the world of philanthropy, where grant writing is, historically, those people had a lot of time to do research.
Yeah.
Because they were mostly privileged people. In the continental United States, it was mostly the wives of rich white men that lead in the world of philanthropy. That's how it was. But what we've been doing is trying to leverage and level the playing field by making it easier for the everyday person to access it. Now, today we have tools that make it easier and make the process go quicker, but we still need certain elements. You still have to have research. You still have to have your statement of need. You still have to be able to write at a certain caliber. So we have the software, we have ChatGPT, you have Google Bard. These things will help expedite the process so that your finished product will look as good as the work you're doing with your hands, the work you're doing on the ground. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Now, honestly, y'all, I actually I didn't get in trouble, but there was a red flag. I had a red flag. And the red flag came to me because I was telling the general public about secrets to grants. And everybody doesn't like that. Because people like us were not typically competing
Yes.
for grants.
Oh, but
And
there are
so
other
when I
people.
start telling it, go ahead, say it again.
Yeah, but there are definitely others. My favorite teaching that you've ever, like, my golden goose that you've shared with me, and oh, should I even share it since you were saying that you were getting red flags?
You can go ahead here.
Yeah,
I'm not on Facebook.
my favorite golden goose was using the Freedom of Information Act
I heard
that coach did,
I
right?
heard.
So in federal grants, like he says, they're in cycles, right? So I know the A&A grant, the one that we won 1.2 million, will always come around March, April, May. There's housing and HUD grants will come around the same time, and it's every single year they come out, except for the new programs, but every single year they come out. And you can use the Freedom of Information Act. You can go and look up that particular grant, look for the past winners in the last 1, 2, or 3 years, and then you can actually ask for the grant proposals of those winners because it's public information.
Yeah.
You can then take that information and you can look at the format, which is probably the hardest part of writing, is putting the format together so one dot connects to the next dot, connects to the next dot, connects to the next dot. And if you're getting the winners, that means you got the best formats of formats. Right? So requesting 10, for the last 3 years, I want, the top 10, and so you got 30 formats, and then you're putting them together. It's like, okay, this is how their introduction looks like. This is how their budgets look like. This is how their program design looks like. And you create your own template. And now you can write that grant for so many other people.
So,
Yeah.
Coach, wasn't that for the federal grants only, right? Because that's what that
Oh, no, it's
No,
all
no.
city,
It's
county, state, federal, all of
that's
them,
all public
city, county,
information.
federal, state. Oh,
all,
okay. All
all.
those. Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
do
Okay.
it for all of them.
But it
It is a
helps for
big
the
shortcut.
private, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work for private grant because private foundations, they don't keep them, they're not required to give them out. But any
Okay.
public, and you can do that for both grants and contracts. It's all public information. Um,
So you
and
were getting red flagged. Go ahead, Coach.
yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah, I was
jumped in.
getting red flag because I was sharing too much information. I was telling too much of the secrets. I was telling how to research people's board of directors. And I was saying how to look at somebody else's annual report and figure out who's giving what. And like, and then how to know what really to ask for. Like all those secrets, they don't expect the everyday person to know about. Um, and I was getting red flags. And in fact, I got a call. It was a out of office after hours call from a funding source that was like, Jay, you telling too much.
You're opening the floodgates.
Yeah,
Now we
yeah,
got to
yeah.
work so hard.
And it was, and it was a concern for me because I still raise money in my local community. I volunteer as the board chair for Black Wall Street. I'm the founder there. And so I raise money for that organization. I don't get paid anything from it. I raise money for it. And much of what I show you all is what I do in real life every day.
Mhm.
But I raise money for Black Wall Street. But when my name shows up on something, red flags go up because they know that I know the secrets.
Mhm.
And I mean, I didn't just figure them out. I just started talking about it, but I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
But I ran the risk of telling it. And so I had to change up what I told to Facebook in general, and then what I spoke about in meetings like this.
Mhm.
And none of what I'm saying is wrong. All of it is really public information. But I had to change how I put myself out there
Mhm.
because if I'm the one robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, the rich don't necessarily like that.
Uh,
But
Co-
nonetheless, we
Coach,
move.
quick question. Like, does everybody over here have your Hackett University? Like, did all of you guys pay for Coach Hackett's you know, online portals and stuff? You guys all have that. I'm gonna assume that you guys all have that, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, because that wealth of information is in there, including, your needs statement and the workbooks and stuff. I actually just went back in after yesterday, kind of yesterday and this morning. I'm like, wow, there's way more stuff in here now. Look at these workbooks. I like the drawings of the little kid, the man, and they got all these workbook things. That's like, wow. Um, so are there any other obstacles, or are we over time? Shoot, I feel like I owe them another 20 minutes.
I don't have an obstacle. I have a question. Because you said that building grants or writing grants is kind of like building credit. Should
Mhm.
we just start with maybe some easy grants to start with, whether it's for our own organization or for someone else? Do we just start there?
I, I mean, personally, I would say yes. There are some grants and some funders that will allow startups to go after it. The ANA, for example, is
Mhm.
one where they allow brand new nonprofits win the big dollars.
Okay.
But there's not a lot, you have to actually know who the funder is and what the type of funder.
Mhm.
And the other thing that Coach says is, if you're going to go for an application, send them an email, give them a call, do something so that they know, all
Yes.
right, this guy took an extra step that everybody else didn't. So even in your call or your email, you just say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. I see your grant opportunity.
Mhm.
And as a new startup, or as a new nonprofit, we've been, around for this long, do you would you fund this activity, or would you allow us to achieve funding?
Okay.
And just do something so that way you're on the radar.
So just
You-
build a relationship first, you're saying then, right?
Uh, well, yeah, you basically go
It's
from
not
a
as
no
much
name
as
to
a
an,
relationship.
it's like an acquaintance.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and it's the strategy I tell people, and they skip it. Now you want people don't be doing it
Yeah,
because they don't
yeah.
believe that something so small could
Oh
be so
man,
significant.
you're
Mhm.
on their minds when you do that.
Yeah, all
Really,
you're doing is
they
saying,
look
"This
for
is
it.
who I am," and you're asking a question, any
Uh,
question,
Yeah.
All right.
any
And,
question.
and then to answer your first question, it'd be like, I guess it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Like, if the work that you're trying to do really requires 150,000,
Mhm.
then really, are you going to put together, 10, 10, $15,000 grants, or
Mhm.
are you going to, find other people that can kind of work with you
Okay.
and then go after the larger funding?
Got it.
Um, so I would say simultaneously do both.
Okay.
But
Okay.
do the small ones that you can, that you're capable of, but at the same time,
Okay.
with, you know, contact the funder to see, hey,
Yes.
I we're still brand new. The biggest hurdle is they don't trust you with a lot of money. So unless they can trust you with that, you have an accounting system and that you're gonna, manage it all, they're gonna be like, you know what, just start on a small level and then move your way up. Go ahead,
Okay.
coach. I see you sharing your
All
screen.
right. So what you just described kind of gives leeway into this.
Yep.
This program, this is what I've called the GATE program.
Mhm.
We took about 5 months before the holidays to pull everything together. We had already started raising money for it, and then we just tightened up the budget as we went along. We just started enrolling people into the program. Um, and this is an example of grant stacking, and just how you get money for something that might be $150,000, but you're putting together a bunch of small revenue sources. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this program is designed for entrepreneurs to benefit from tourism. You'll see at the top, we have a few different grants. This one is one that's the Community Foundation, Human Services, Mountain BizWorks. That's not a grant, that's a contract. It's actually a contract from a pass-through grant. Asheville Merchants Fund, Chamber of Commerce, Duke Energy, that's the electric company, the county grant, and then a sponsorship from a local organization. All right. And what we did, we just put together a dream list of what we wanted. So we know we need a program director, and that's going to cost about $40,000 for the year. We need coaching staff, and that's a few thousand for each person. And then consulting, and then admin, and then food and event expenses. We want to pay for a cohort retreat. We want to pay for meetups. We want to pay for marketing and communication. We need to pay for binders and welcome baskets. We want to pay for shirts. We want to pay for childcare and housing support. We're raising money so that people that are in this program, if they need childcare, if they have emergency rent situation, emergency utility situation, we're raising money so that we can help them with that. And then support to meet their business needs if they need a computer or a website or whatever. And so we put together all the things that we think we're going to need and just how much we think it's going to cost. This is just a proposal, just all the things that we think so far. And together it comes up to $193,000. We have spent $0. All we're doing is imagining what it's going to cost. And that's the first thing that you want to do before you go after any grant. Think about how much everything is going to cost. Now, each one of these grants, I'm going to point out right here, none of them is paying for the whole thing, but all
Right.
of them are taking away a little bit of it. So the Community Foundation, they gave us $20,000 and they said we will pay for staff and consulting. All right. So we put some on that. Then Mountain BizWorks, that's a federal pass-through grant from the CDBG. and their money can only be applied to low to moderate income people, and it can only support staff and coaching. So, all right, so we applied it there. Then Actual Merchants Fund, that one is more flexible, but that one is built to support businesses. So we apply that money here. Then the Chamber of Commerce, that one is even less restrictive. It was only $10,000, and we put that money here. And Duke, they were flexible, so we put their money here. And all we're doing is filling in the gaps. Now, all of it is not yet covered because I still have not found anybody to pay for this line item. But the program has already started. What I'm doing right now is looking for funding sources that are going to pay this $45,000 for the year. And what I'm going to say is I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other program supporters that are giving money, and all I need is $45,000 from you. So there was a student I had that told me that they wanted a building, like the city of Asheville gave me a building. They said, well, I want a building. I don't want any of the small grants. Do y'all see how all these grants are relatively small?
Mhm.
They said they didn't want small grants, but this is an example of how small grants add up to be big grants. Start where you are.
Hey, Coach, can I
Yes.
I want to share a story, but at the same time, ask you your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who are listening to this story, please do not repeat this outside of this room. Okay, so here's a hypothetical situation. I have a friend of mine, her brother bought a house, 2 acres. And in this house, there's all this, it's on agricultural, but there's no water. So what he did was ask his sister, who's a grant writer, and said, hey, sis, I need a well. I need you to help me find a grant. So what she did was she said, I mean, and we've learned a little bit. I've asked Coach for some ideas and stuff. So what we've learned is like, okay, well, in order for us to do this, to write her brother and get a well to get the water in order to grow the crops and stuff like that, well, we need to create a program around it. So what this person did was her mother is like a master cultural artist person where, there's the art of taking the bark of a tree and pounding it into what ancient Hawaiians used to wear as clothing. And then there's all these plants that are used to dye the art and then create the tools to make it. So what we did was she got a lease for 15 years from her brother's property, and we wrote a program to grow the crops in order to perpetuate this art. And so by doing that, this is where the 1.2 million, the 400,000 comes in. We then got, well, you can't grow the crops without the water. And in order to get the water, you need the well. And in order to get the well, we needed to find an $80,000 contractor. And we wrote that into the grant. So her brother ended up getting the grant. Her mother ended up getting a salary. Her brother also who had an LLC, became a contractor to be the farm manager on the property that he bought, right? And he got a contract for $30,000 to $40,000. And then he got all of the irrigation lines that he would have came out of pocket. He also got a tool shed. He basically built his whole farm that he's wanted to from the grant funding. But I do want to make this caveat is that they are delivering what they said that they're going to do. They're starting 25 students going through a 12-month program to be able to perpetuate the culture, to start their own copper business, to learn how to grow, to learn how to design. And then one of her classmates, who's a graphic designer, she brought him on as a coach. So I want you guys also, and coach, so in order to do this, though, there were processes and procedures, right? So that way there was no bias in the decision making. We just made sure that we went out, we got 3 bids, we went out and we created a memorandum of agreement. but the level of opportunity in this, when you get to that experience, it is amazing of how it can benefit the people around you.
Absolutely. So you're always going to go through the red tape and the paperwork. You got to have your paperwork in order. But once you learn the system, you can utilize it to support the whole community around you. It can really be a win-win situation. And so when I see people get frustrated, I'm trying to simplify it for them, because I know that if they just get started, it'll get better over time. You'll get used to it. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. So I explained in that situation, it is normal, it is typical, it is how it is done, and it can benefit you and your entire community around you. All right.
Phyllis, is that a question, Phyllis?
Yeah, I wanted, well, it's a reflection first. It's number one, so I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and we're the first city in the South talking about reparations for the 23 member commissioners. I went to Evanston, Illinois, which is the first city in the country working on reparations, and I listened to an art activist not that long ago. Can you hear me better? Or do I sound low?
You
No,
were
really
low.
distant and low.
Yeah, I had to turn up my volume to kind of hear you. Okay, now you went on mute, but I'm going to assume you're adjusting your settings.
Can you hear me any better now?
Go ahead.
Okay. So a sister, she's an art activist, and she wanted to help the elders in a historically Black neighborhood get their houses, fixed from the inside. But she used an art grant. They could fix up the outside, but they had to fix up the inside. They had to do a mural on the outside, but first they had to fix things inside. And I thought, wow, see?
Yeah.
Yep. You can get real creative in here in this genre. So and by the way, Phyllis, so I'm going to assume that you're getting your nonprofit off the ground while you're being fiscally sponsored.
Well, I am in that process now. I was thinking that it was going to be complicated, but now it seems like I just might as well do that.
Well, yep, yeah, I would suggest so. I mean, because there's one thing of, if you have ideas and stuff, you can go and get the fiscal sponsor. There's another thing if you go and get the nonprofit, and you can kind of just work your way in supporting and doing all of these other things like that brother sister combo. I don't know about you guys, and coach, maybe in our bylaws, the bylaws that I do, that where I help set up nonprofits, including for one that we set up for myself, we put in our bylaws that the president is also the ED or the CEO, so that way the president can get paid, right, as they're operating. So I do know that there's a lot of people that you guys are setting up the nonprofits, you guys are on boards, and it's really hard to. The board is a volunteer position. But in our bylaws, the bylaws that I've created, I made the board president the CEO or the executive director. So that way, as the president of the board, he's voluntary, but as the executive director, he's a paid salary. So, there's an idea for some of you guys that are looking for, okay, if I'm setting up a nonprofit and I'm the president, am I just going to be working free for the rest of my life? And you don't have to.
No, you don't have to. I volunteer for Black Wall Street as the board chair, because it's the work that I do. It's my way of giving back. And I have a separate business, which is how I make money from serving you all. But my work with Black Wall Street is volunteer. And so I intentionally am board chair, and we pay other people. When I showed you all that budget, each one of those line items can go to another person. So sometimes you might be writing for your own organization, But if you take guidance from what Nainwa said and from what I just showed you, you might also be in somebody else's grant. So that when they get funded, you get paid. Okay. This is one way that for-profit companies can benefit from grants without having to write it themselves or write a for-profit grant. All right.
All right, Coach. I think we got what, 3 more minutes. If anybody else has any things, or if not, we can also do a wrap up. But um, believe me, the portal, utilizing the coach to help get nonprofits set up, definitely frees up your time, because then it's just marketing after that. Establishing yourself as a grant writer, utilize everybody on here has your grant writing software suite too, Coach.
I think so, but I haven't checked.
Okay.
I haven't checked.
Using that, you use all the tools that Coach has. Like, for Hawaii, it's a little hard. There's no grants in there. There's no grants in there for Hawaii. So we go we use grant stations on some, or I just do. I'm familiar with all the ones that we all write for.
Yeah.
But
And what's the next grant? We waiting on some information from you.
oh
News.
Matt. Well, so I'm working on a $75 million grant right now. I don't know if you guys, and it's like pulling my hair. It's the most work that I've done because it's 40 different orgs, and it's so huge. It's at a level that I've never done before, right? So now when you're dealing with all of those federal procurements, you got to start learning about the 3 bid process. You for some machinery and stuff, because it's an environmental grant. Um, you know, you we have to ask NOAA, and thankfully NOAA is allowing us to buy general equipment. So because we have like 4 excavators that we're buying, some flatbed trucks and things like that. But working with 40 nonprofits, it's like pulling teeth to give them money. I'm like, you want this money, right? You want 100,000 a year for the next 5 years, $500,000. You want it, but you don't want to spend the time to tell me what you're gonna do to get it. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
but that's the next grant. So I mean, I've been wrapped up in that for the last 2 months, because I have to meet with every single org and kind of pull out, what are you gonna do? What's your timeline? When are you gonna do it? And I've had to do that 40 times with 40 different orgs, and hopefully by the end of this month I'll be done with that, and we'll know in July whether or not we get my biggest grant ever, $75 million, and we'll keep you up to date to that. But I mean, I started with you, Coach. Like, I started from the 0-5 mark. I started 0-5 with my
Oh,
grant
man.
writing, and so really, really appreciate that.
That's good. And we appreciate you. So I'm sure there's some people here that don't have the grant writing software. And if you don't have it, of course you want to get it. But there are at the beginning of the year, I put up a program called Power Pages. This was only for people that would be here. And I had space for 5 people, but we've already finished some of them. With Power Pages, I'm writing all of your grants for the year. And so that's your grants, your emails, and connecting, making sure that we introduce you to your funding sources, plus your website and your research paper. If somebody was interested in that, I think it's in the Shopify store, and you can make payments on it if you needed to.
Coach, how many grants you writing? Have
12.
got that in the chat.
12.
12 grants once a month. Well, yeah, okay, 12 grants. Hey, and you were charging how much?
Oh, I charge 5,000 per grant.
No, but for the
Oh.
program this program that you is that that
Now, when
power
I put it
charge?
on at the beginning of the year, it was 5,000 for the year.
What are we charging now?
Let me see what it's in there as. because it probably went up by now.
Look, I have two people on the line that I'm charging 10,000 for it. So here's what I was gonna do, Coach. I was gonna charge them 10, and I was gonna be like, all right, we're gonna go.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I charge them. They're highly debating, and so if you're raising your price from 5, I might have to give them a deadline. It's gonna be 15 if they don't get back to me. But trust me, that yeah. So what is it now, Coach? Because I need to know.
Oh man, where is it? Where
Is
is it?
there a dollar amount on the grant? Is a
There's
grant
not.
amount?
There's not. It's a mixture.
Okay.
It's a mixture.
Got
Y'all just saw I funded a $185,000 program with a series of 10 and 20s.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
So is it? I mean, the total
man.
value was like 50.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
the
I
total
think the
value
total
was
value was
50.
like probably even
Yeah.
more than that if you're going with the amount of grants that you're writing.
Well, yeah, especially since you'll be able to use these things year after year.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's on the thing right now for 5,000. I am going to change it
Yeah, you better,
because they should have fixed it by now.
Yeah, so what you're saying, Coach, is we got the green light, right? we got the green light to up it to 15.
Look at his face.
This sounds like a click
Y'all
funnel. This
see how
sounds
they
like a
do?
click funnel. This sounds like a great click funnel for us.
Maybe. Yeah,
That's
yeah, they do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But go to you'll if somebody's interested, go ahead and direct message me. Direct message me on Facebook so we can check it. Have to make sure that that what you're doing is something that we can get funded. Uh and from there now we're not going to be teaching you this. This is not me teaching. This is just me saying, okay, step aside.
Okay.
We're going to do it. And in response, we're going to expect you to be sharing your experience and your testimonials.
Okay. When we're done with this call, can I have 3 minutes of your time?
Let me
Go ahead.
see.
Just 3 minutes.
Let me check.
So while he's checking, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out to listen to my story and having me out here. I really hope. Oh, one more thing, Coach. One more thing, Coach. So I've worked with some nonprofits where they've asked me to put me on salary, right? We help them get some grants. They put me on salary. Right now, I get 2 W-2s, right? And so those nonprofits pay me one pays me 75 and another pays me 90. So that's 165 just for the W-2 work. A third, actually, 2 other ones have asked me to hire me, right, to come in, but I told them rather than be a W-2 employee, then I'm going to run into some inurement charges, right? Because how are you going to be a full-time employee doing, 40 hours a week at more than 3? That's 120 hours, right? So I told them rather than put me on as a W-2 to put me on as a contractor. It'll be easier that way. Any thoughts on? Am I going about that the right way?
Of course, you can. You'll want to run it by your finance professional. There's no tax advice. But I've had as many as 4 W-2 jobs. They were not hourly though. They were all considered salary. Do salary work, you're getting paid for your intellectual property, not how long it takes you to do a thing.
Got it.
So it matters how they categorize your work. Either you're being paid such and such per hour, or you're being paid a salary because of your contribution.
Got it.
I've had as many as 4, actually 5 of those in 1 year.
Okay. And I threw that at the end just to let you guys know, as grant writers and stuff, there's opportunities for multiple W-2s, 1 or 2, where, if one nonprofit, starts running out of funding, you have another funding source. So keep that, make sure that you guys are financially supporting yourselves in doing the work to support the community. So again, thank you everybody. And Coach,
All right.
I wasn't as organized, but I promise you the next time I can be a little bit more organized.
It's
Can
all
I
right.
ask you a question, Dr. Hatchett?
Yes.
So, a pastor I'm doing payroll for now, he asked me about grant writing and funding for the church, and he's looking forward in Camden, and he's looking forward to getting some grant stuff. Should I refer him to you to help him with the grant fund, or do you want me to go through the software we have now to help out?
If you want to refer them to me, you can.
Okay.
If you
I'm
want
not
to,
experiencing that yet. You know what I mean? I haven't even wrote my first grant yet. I haven't done anything yet. I haven't got my 501(c). I'm still waiting for that.
okay, all right.
And so he's definitely looking for funding for the church, for programs he want to get for the church. And I know you've mentioned it a couple times in the classroom about pastors and getting funding for the church and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. If you can refer them to me.
Okay.
There's a very specific thing that churches need to do.
Okay.
Very specific thing that churches need to do. They have to separate their religious activity from their community activity. Once they do that, it's a lot easier, but you have to do it. And sometimes they just need somebody to tell them how to do it.
Okay. All right. So can I just give him your email? Is that okay?
Facebook is better,
Oh, Facebook.
or support. Because if he emails me directly, I might not know who it is,
Okay.
and I'll answer.
So just on your Facebook page? Contact you?
The direct message.
Okay, direct message.
Direct message me,
Instagram.
or he can email the DM on Facebook or on Instagram. Either one is fine.
Okay.
And they can always email support.
Okay.
And there's a person here, Tony. She said this is her first time. All right. And so I'm clear on the pod pages. I only have space for 2 more people right now. So all of y'all that's about to message me, um, I only have 2 more, and we'll do your grant writing for the year.
And
All
that's
right.
what, 15,000? That's the 10,000?
No.
No,
It's only 7,000. It's
Oh,
only
seven.
Oh, we got all these numbers. I hear 5, 7,
No.
15.
No. What now? You know what I'm saying?
What I was doing was I was finding a client for him, but I was just saying thank you for the work, coach. I appreciate the
Yeah.
gift. So I was charging 10 to 15
Oh,
so
man.
that I could give it to coach for 5. And
That's
plus,
exactly.
Oh my
that
goodness.
so I have 2 people seriously debating paying 10,000 for it. And then I was just going to give coach what his charge
Yeah.
is. I missed the deadline. So I totally understand. Look, opportunities come and you have to take advantage of it. And we have to get into that mode too, where
Yes.
sometimes you have to jump. And so right now the price is 7, but again, I have people that are willing to pay 10 to 15 for it. 10, and so my 2 guys are willing to pay 10. And so if I give it to coach for 7 and I take 3, but he's doing the work and they're doing the flying, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So
Is that the 50-50 you were talking about?
No, this is just me doing the writing.
And you said they got a payment plan as well?
On Shop. Yeah. If you go
On
to
Shopify?
Shop Hackett, actually, Nainwa, I put the link in your
in my
Facebook
email.
message.
Okay, got it.
You
You want me? I'll bring out 1 second.
put it in here real quick.
Please.
And for the person that said the 50-50, the 50-50 is for people to help set up nonprofits. So it's what, $1,500, and then coach and his team will do all the work, but you get $750 and they'll get the result. Yeah, they get the finished product.
Okay.
Or you're going to do affiliate program too? So we could do, it's pretty much what you're doing anyways. Like,
yeah, that's what
you
it is.
doing the 7,000 and what's the name? But if you could do that, that'd be great.
Oh, I don't
Great
know if he has
affiliate
time.
program.
Yeah, I can't do but so many. That's why I'm only taking 2.
You said it and you forget it.
Because this program is not automated. Like I actually have to do this. You know what I mean? The classes I teach them one time, the information is there, the software is there, but this is us, me and my writers actually doing this. So that's why I can only take 2 more of these. But I have some more affiliate stuff ready for y'all in the future.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
But for this, the Power Pages, we'll do all your writing for the year. I have 2 more slots available. If you're interested, you go ahead and click that link. That link takes you to the online store, and it has a shop pay option where you can break it up into payments if you need to.
You
All
put
right.
it in the chat, Doc?
I didn't hear you.
You put the link in there?
I did. It's in the
No,
chat.
I did.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Coach. I
Yeah.
had to step away real quick. I was on another meeting call. You said something about writing for the year. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I heard that part. If I ain't heard nothing else.
I did a program where, and you're already in elite, so you don't necessarily need this.
Okay.
Unless you want it, of course. But I needed some more testimonials. I only have a few people in my elite program.
Okay.
And so I needed more testimonials. And so I said, well, let me take on 5 people. I'll do all their writing for the year. That's 12 grants. And I'll just do it. We're not going to show you how to do it. We're just going to do it. And that's the grants, the emails, and the introduction to the funding sources and the research paper.
Oh, okay. So do I get grandfathered into that? Is that what you're saying? No.
I'm saying we're already
She's trying to get in there.
yeah,
I'm on the door.
you're already in the elite.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about all of your grant needs. We're actually finishing up a grant for you right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be fun.
Can we talk after class too? Got 5 minutes of your time, good sir.
Well, I think somebody else needed to talk to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Reginald's got it first.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see you tomorrow anyway.
Okay.
All right.
All right now. But yeah, you good. You already.
I wonder what the payment plan is.
It looks like it's $691, but click the link. It'll show you what the thing is.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
everyone.
All right,
Thanks,
y'all.
Coach.
Bye, y'all.
All right,
Great meeting.
everybody.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks. Y'all have a good day.
Have a blessed day, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
I'm still here, Doc.
I'm a jumper.
All right.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna have to boot the other ones that are still here but not really here.
Oh, Doc, if you want him to stay on, I'm okay with that.
Man, I think sometimes people are multitasking.
Yeah, like me today.
Let's see. All right, we're good.
Okay, Doc. Just my question is this. We talked about this before. There is a building, a huge piece of property that has been sitting idle for 20 years here in Chicago. And my question to you is that something that you can get involved in and take a portion of that money, get a fee for that. I want this building. I don't want to screw it up. I haven't written one grant yet, but this thing here is actually in the heart of the community that I'm trying to rebuild. And it would serve us very well to have that building as an office and to, of course, it would have to be renovated because it's sitting there. I have no idea where to start, how much to ask for, or any of those things. And if you could get involved in that and take whatever portion that you feel that you deserve for that, I would be eternally grateful.
Well, I wouldn't be taking on any other projects just yet. I don't know. I just don't know what my medical schedule is going to be like.
Okay.
So I know I'm clear for the month of January. I know my schedule for January. But my doctor had already kind of alerted me about just how much I do.
Yes.
So, that's why with the power pages, I'm like, okay, I can take on 2 more. And I've actually front loaded my year because I'll be taking off for a few months of the year.
I understand.
And so I appreciate the invitation, but I wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Okay. What
I'm
if I
definitely here as a resource.
Mhm. What if Naimwai got involved in it?
Oh, well, I think that's fine. He actually partners with people both in Hawaii and the continental United States.
Okay.
So you should definitely reach out to him. He has a big team that's helping him kind of spread around the country.
Hang on just a second. Hey, turn this alarm off. Okay. Should I look for him on Facebook and message him that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
yeah.
wrote a spelling of his name. Okay. Yeah, I'll look him up on Facebook and go that route. And I appreciate your, the what you just I'm actually filling out to pay monthly for Power Pages. So I'm multitasking right now.
Okay.
But yeah, we really would love to have that building, and I'll reach out to him as soon as we're done with this call. As concerning your health, if there's anything that I can do, because all the stuff I do is all natural, I'm here for you.
All right. I appreciate it. And so far, so good. We're going to keep trucking along and watch you get better and better.
Okay, Doc. We'll see
All
you.
right. Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.